Hello and welcome to SpyHards Podcast, where your hosts go deep undercover into the world of spy movies to decipher which films make the knock list. But remember, this information is strictly for your ears only. I'm Agent Scott.
And I'm Cam the Provocateur, covering himself in wet newspapers.
Well, that was my outro line.
Now, Scott, I know you like to, open every episode with, will it make the knock list? I think in special circumstances, we have to just say there's an X through that, and the suspense is whether it will make the disavowed list.
What are you saying? I love this film. This is up there with GoldenEye, North by Northwest, Casino Royale.
You've torn down your poster of Notorious in your room.
Yeah, I just drew a rocket with a marker.
Coming out of Cary Grant's head.
That's somehow better than this film.
And somehow you changed the font to Rocketorious.
Oh, very good.
Very
good.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Maybe it's interesting because some podcasts are always like, when they do reviews at the start, they'll be like, "Oh, did I like it? Yes or no?" Like, just people want to know off the bat. And we're not going to put the knock list up front. I feel like that's sort of. I mean, if you clicked play, you want to listen to the show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Most of you listening are that fussed about knock lists or not. Some of you actually are fussed about it, and we do get emails when we do it wrong. Mostly Cam.
I will say 0 emails coming in over the in-laws being inducted.
I think that's more to do with the film.
People love the in-laws.
They love the in-laws. When we do like a I don't know, some sort of recap on the knock list at 300 or 500 or something, and we'll mention it's on the knock list, you'll be people like, what? When? Wait, you guys covered the in-laws?
Look,
yes.
I still have Allied and the Wrecking Crew to gripe over.
You do. Allied, I'd be willing to strike off the list, but that's for another discussion. So yes, this week's film may not be a winner.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, it's more the question of like,
just how far is this rocket gonna miss its destination?
Yeah, how low does it go?
Yeah, which is ironic for intercontinental ballistic missiles.
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, let's get to it. Let's get down to brass tacks. Cam, What are we talking about?
We are talking about 1960s Rocket Attack U.S.A., a Red Scare exploitation film from, a time where people were highly sensitive to such things.
Yeah, of all the films we've tackled recently, this is the one that jumps out to me as the most of its time.
Yeah, I was really thinking about that because a movie I kept thinking about watching it was House on 92nd Street.
I thought about that a lot.
There's a similar kind of docudrama feel. I mean, one is, I think, just in terms of film craft at a higher level than the other. But it's that similar kind of...
Also, one has actors that are trained in it.
Right. But like, they both have that similar kind of hysteria sensibility of like, scary things are happening next door and only you can stop it. That kind of thing.
It just like, of the 18 people listed on IMDb that are in Rocket Attack U.S.A., only one of them has a photo.
That's true. Although I will have a surprising reveal for you as we get further into the episode.
Are you revealing your rocket?
No, I won't. There was no rocket watching this movie.
Is it going to attack me?
Failure to launch on this movie.
Well, that's what my parents tell me all the time. Okay, yeah. So, Rocket Attack USA, interesting history. Post-release, I would say, for the film. But I'm keen to get into the behind the scenes. But before we do, if you've never ridden the rocket, hop on. Here is your synopsis. And shockingly, for a 64-minute film, this has a ... more.
Are you serious?
I am.
Was it written by the person that wrote the narration for this film? You need that voice.
I couldn't channel it. It's already like half gone from my brain, and I watched this film an hour ago.
Yeah, it's like very that kind of like flat. If you watch any of those kind of paranoia exploitation films, they all kind of have a narration like this.
Well, it's a question I've got about this film, but I want to come back to. But here is the synopsis if you haven't already seen the film and you don't intend on watching it. Although I will point out this film is readily available on YouTube.
They are giving it away. Everyone wants you to watch it. Archive.org has copies all over the place. YouTube, it's on Tubi. It is everywhere.
I might as well just throw it up on our YouTube for a week or something. Just, I don't know, why not?
I don't think anyone cares.
I don't think so either. Rocket Attack U.S.A. From another continent. Destruction! Panic! Before the rocket strikes.
Okay.
I feel like that sentence was written backwards. But it's taken from the poster, so I'll allow it.
You know what it's like? It's like the dialogue when Bond meets Jinx.
Ah, like it's just words strung together.
Well, it sounds like it's been translated to another language and then back again.
We should recite that meeting one day, the two of us.
We should actually. Maybe that's a year-ender kind of thing.
I'll be Jinx. You can be Bond.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'll even wear the bikini. But that's for the video version, folks. Check us out on YouTube. All right, Cam. I'll have a go at this voice. I mean, I'm a very expressive, dynamic guy, so it's hard for me to tone that back. But here we go.
Sorry, the listeners are roaring with laughter right now.
Listen, do you want me to read it or not?
Yes, please, please.
Okay. It's the height. See, there was too much emphasis already. It's the height of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union, with the communists launching a spy satellite that has the free world leaders in panic.
Oh, the tension.
Fears about the nature of the satellite force the United States to send an agent undercover behind the Iron Curtain to discover what the Soviets have learned. What he finds is the communists have used the information acquired from their spy satellite to help them perfect a new and ... more. Finish the sentence.
Deadlier rocket?
An even more deadlier nuclear weapon.
There we go. There we go.
Not bad.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was basically, weirdly, the first 40 minutes of the film.
Yeah, that's right. There's a twist.
There is a twist I didn't see coming.
So you got to give it points for that.
It gets a point for that, which we will get to that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It will land. But that's the synopsis. It certainly sells the film, I suppose. This is an interesting one because I've not got a history with this film because I wasn't alive when it came out and I just haven't really seen it. But I know there are some ties to a beloved North American TV show. So I'm wondering if you have a tie to it at all?
Absolutely none, although it would be amazing if I was like, I used to watch this movie all the time. This was one of my childhood favorites, was sitting down with my parents, some popcorn, and watching Rocket Attack U.S.A.
It's like the end scene from Doctor Strangelove when the guy's riding the nuke down with his cowboy hat, but this is you in the film, basically.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, no, I was not familiar with this film when we added to the list.
No.
But I am a big fan of 1950s science fiction, which a lot of those films are these very thinly veiled parallels for atomic anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And the really good ones, like, It Came from Outer Space, for example, or the 53 War of the Worlds, managed to present that in a way where it's genuinely entertaining films. You can definitely see the messaging going on underneath, but there's also like genuine inventiveness in the filmmaking, and a lot of these movies were low budget, and so you can really see the filmmakers coming alive, like the really good filmmakers. A movie like Them, for example, with the giant ants, that's another one.
Yeah.
Of course, there's also like Godzilla from 54, which is more the Japanese responding to the atomic bombs being dropped on Japan during World War II. But there is this kind of atmosphere of this atomic panic, and I think in the best examples, it inspires something. The way that, like, 9/11, you can say how, like, the Bourne movies came out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are genuinely great films. But there was also movies being cranked out at that time that were these very blandly earnest, artless reminders of the horrors of 9/11. And no one remembers those. Like, they're just not particularly well regarded, weren't in their time, and they're often ignored now. And I think that's kind of the case with what went on a lot with the 50s, and this is a movie in 1960, which feels a little bit late at this point for this type of movie. It was more of a response to the Sputnik launch than anything, but in terms of the filmmaking, it feels very much from a time that was a little before this. And, the good ones are remembered, and ones like this and so many others are forgotten, which is why they're kind of fun to track down on services like Tubi and sit down and just watch one because they're about an hour long and get a sense as to what the atmosphere was like. For example, like when I finished watching this movie, there was a pop-up on Tubi for, the movie it was going to play next.
Yep.
And it was Atomic Attack from 1951. A movie that no one remembers, but very much in the kind of same realm.
It's funny you mention atomic anxiety because that's what I get when I can't get my rocket to launch.
But you look at even like a
Thanks
movie
for that.
that
No sell. You go straight back to his point.
I'm
He does
not going to
want
sell.
to indulge.
I'm not acknowledging
No,
that.
okay, fine.
But you look at a movie that people don't hold in high regard, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Sure.
And that's ultimately what George Lucas was going for when you had Indy standing in front of the atomic blast and all the kind of the sci-fi stuff that came after.
See, that's what it feels like to not sell the point. Are you happy?
Yes, I am very happy to have that pause. It was more of a pause for thought, I like to think of it.
Everyone listening went, wow, Cam is smart. What a guy.
Scott's making boner jokes, and Cam is discussing the history of film.
There's film critique, and then there's Scott. I'll put my critique hat on. I'll join you for a second. I've never done this before. It feels weird. No, I don't know enough about this era or this particular wave of fear. We've encountered it a couple of times. Like Big Jim McClane's kind of got that communist fear thing built into it.
Yeah.
But one thing that sort of jumped out to me more about this decade, although this was a 1960s film, but it's a 1950s film, let's be honest.
Yeah.
The 1950s seems really void of good spy movies. I know North by Northwest came out that decade, but there aren't that many other good ones.
No, and the ones that do exist feel like more oddities. Like we talked about the Scarlet Coat on the show. That's one, like a Revolutionary War film that it's not like people remember that as a real spy film. I think there was another one called They Carved Her Name with Pride from the same decade, and again, like a very curious spy vehicle that people haven't really held on to over the years, but that's a female-fronted spy film made in the 50s. But you don't have that kind of solidified, like, okay, let's make a World War II espionage film. Those are mostly in the 40s, and then you are just waiting for the 60s explosion, which is going to happen, shortly after this movie's release.
I mean, just some of the other ones we had in this decade that we talked about. Springfield Rifle, which wasn't great. 39 Steps, the remake, which wasn't great. The Man Who Knew Too Much remake, which was a good film. You prefer it of the two.
Although, I feel like the Hitchcock stuff almost falls outside of what is actually going on, because Hitchcock's making Hitchcock movies, and espionage thrillers are kind of his thing, going all the way back to the original 39 Steps and Man Who Knew Too Much.
But you do get Five Fingers.
Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah, Locomotive Chase, Fez Parker Fans, Betrayed with Clark Gable, the FBI Story with Jimmy Stewart, and Our Man in Havana. So there are some interesting ones.
A number of historical films that's interesting. It's almost like people were more interested actually at that point in just exploring historical events versus kind of contemporary spy films.
And I think it's, you're a bit more a student of film, but like some things, it's always interesting to contextualize what's going on when films are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can get a grip on it, like especially the decades that we both lived through, you kind of know what's happening. Cold War stuff's happening in the 80s. That's why you get a lot of Cold War thrillers, post-Cold War thrillers in the 90s, and then 9/11 in the 2000s, and going on from there. But neither of us were around for the 50s. We have some idea from learning history, but neither of us were actually in that decade and can kind of tell you why the films were leaning that way too much. Apart from just the McCarthy stuff, House of American Activity stuff that going around. But I don't know what the feeling was like to live in the 1950s, that people flocked to some of these films.
Well, I remember my mom talking about doing like the drills in school where you had to go into your desk, the basically duck and cover drills for an atomic attack, which, can you imagine growing up in that atmosphere?
Well, we do it every day.
Right. Still for the atomic attacks.
Yeah, you never know when
You
those
never know.
Ruskies are going to fire.
Scott is covering himself in wet newspaper on the regular,
That's all I'm wearing.
which is not that easy because newspapers aren't as readily available as they used to be.
What do you mean? They sell them in every shop.
Yeah, but do you have them in your house right now?
A newspaper? Yeah, there's one downstairs.
Do you? Okay. Well, most people have gone digital at this point.
In Canada, maybe, but we're still hiding under tables here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No,
I didn't realize
I understand. I understand. You'll get less coverage from a Kindle.
Yeah, exactly.
I can cover. Mine's an e-reader. Is that okay?
Just bounces off your head.
Wow, Amazon do make good products.
That's right. There's a warranty on that as well.
Yeah. In the text somewhere, it's like, also prevents nuclear blasts.
That's right. Yeah. So, like, I can imagine, if I'm going to school as a kid and doing these atomic drills and that atmosphere is very pervasive, it would lead to art or exploitation films being created that really double down on that kind of feeling.
Yeah, maybe so. But then, to be fair, you're having to really stretch your imagination about when you were in school and atomic attacks. Because when you were in school, they were more worried about mustard gas.
Well, yes, of course. But on a serious note, I do remember there was...
He keeps trying to bring me back to serious on the Rocket Attack USA review. Yeah, Cam, let's get serious.
Well, I mean, I remember that there was a genuine concern an earthquake was coming to my neck of the woods. And we had to do earthquake drills frequently in school. And there was a real, sense among all the kids. It was minutes away. At any moment, the big earthquake was going to hit. And that was in 1993. We have still not had a big earthquake.
I don't think we really suffered from that in my school years.
No?
There was a lot of stranger danger stuff, but that's about it.
Yeah, we had that as well.
Yeah, like PSAs weren't particularly a thing that we saw on kids' TV. Yeah, I don't think we had. I think maybe a generation before me would have been dealing with, duck and cover. I think there was a British version of it I'm going to look up whilst I'm talking. But yeah, I think I missed it all. Also, we don't have earthquakes here, so.
Well, yeah. Maybe the teachers were just looking for an excuse for us to be quiet and get under our desks for a while.
Or they wanted all of us to die.
That too. We were annoying.
I've met me. I understand.
Yeah, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, a group of, young high school students, I get it.
Oh, it's Protect and Survive.
Oh,
UK.
okay.
That was our little thing.
Right.
Which ironically has some ties into one of the points I want to make about this film. So that's good.
Well, I was going to say, that would probably apply more to, the Blitz and periods like that. But post that, would there have been anything that you guys would have been having a similar reaction to?
No, Protect and Survive was a booklet that they sent out to all houses on how to make your house safe from nuclear attack.
Oh, okay. So they were having that similar sense of, atomic panic there, too.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I was born in the late 80s, so the wall was coming down anyway.
Yeah.
There wasn't really that fear.
Yeah.
And ironically, I'd say there's more of a chance of it happening nowadays, and they're not doing anything to prepare kids now.
No, that's very accurate. Yeah. I mean, obviously, that wasn't something that I was dealing with either at my age, but...
Listen, kids, I know you got too much Riz, but could you skibbity toilet underneath this desk for Riz? For reals.
Scott has never sounded older.
That was the coolest I've ever sounded. I'm trying to connect us with a younger demographic. I've seen the figures of you lot listening at home, and we need some younger talent around here.
This was like the equivalent of rapping grandma happening on the podcast.
I mean, how many podcasts are going to say the word skibbity toilet in a Rocket Attack USA review? It just won't, will they?
It'll never happen ever again in human history.
This is the one time that Rocket Attack USA and the skibbity toilet videos have been referenced in the same conversation.
Wow.
At no time did I ever stop to think about whether I should. When I thought about if I could.
I'm proud to be here for this moment.
It's the new Jurassic Park.
Cue the score.
Don't play too loud, though, because we'll get demonetized.
That's good.
Let's get to Rocket Attack USA. How did it happen? How did this rocket get launched? Why is everyone hiding from the bomb?
So this movie is the brainchild of a man named Barry Mahon, who was a California-born writer, director, producer. We'll get to more of his credits in a second. But the key thing about Barry Mahon was he loved to fly
Oh.
and learned to fly a plane as a teenager, and then became an RAF pilot and flew several successful missions in World War II before being shot down and imprisoned at Stalag Luft 3, where he worked on the tunnels depicted in The Great Escape.
Okay.
Not too bad, right?
Yeah, that's pretty decent, actually.
Yeah, and IMDb, his bio there, claims that he was the inspiration for Steve McQueen in The Great Escape. I don't know about that because I did a little bit of research, and several individuals claim to be the inspiration for Steve McQueen in The Great Escape, including a Texas fighter pilot named Bill Ash and a Welsh bomber pilot named Ken Reese.
It reminds me, you and I were, when you were in London recently, watching a documentary about SNL, and we watched a segment about the cowbell sequence and the Don't Fear the Reaper, Blue Oyster Cult song.
Yeah.
And there are about 3 different people that claimed to have come up with the cowbell on that track.
Right. Yeah.
Probably not exactly the same thing, but, you know, there's that whole, like, the further you get away from an event in history, that the more people just like to say they were there or they were part of it.
Right. And also, you know, I can only go off the evidence in Rocket Attack USA. And, you know, Barry Mahon, that seems like there might be a little bit of self-promotion in that bio.
But hey, if you're gonna do this, why not? If you're gonna write and direct the film, why not make yourself the biggest you can be?
Exactly. And he actually did escape a couple times, but was recaptured at the...
So he's dreadful at escaping, is what we're saying.
That's right, yes, at that POW camp. But he was ultimately liberated by Patton's Third Army in 1945. And through, you know, just the journey of his life, became the personal pilot and eventual manager of Errol Flynn. Scott's like blinking his eyes like, what?
What a life.
Right?
Like, I always marvel at, like, people who worked in Hollywood in those days, in, like, post-war time, because everyone seemed to have a good story.
Yeah.
Like, I'll mention Star Trek. We have to do it every episode legally now. You know, Jimmy Doohan was a fighter pilot.
You're right.
In the war. Gene Roddenberry, who made Star Trek, flew during the war and then flew for, like, BOAC before he actually started writing television. Like, these people had lives and they were actually important people, and then they went to Hollywood. I don't know what Timothée Chalamet was doing before he went to Hollywood, but I doubt it was as important.
Right. Yeah. Didn't Jimmy Doohan serve on the ground though? Didn't he lose his finger on D-Day?
I thought he was a pilot, but he could have been a soldier.
Yeah, I can't remember the
He
specifics
served.
there. Yeah, he definitely did. Because yeah, like a lot of people now, you ask them their origin story, it's like, well, I went to to school and became like a filmmaker, and that's the story.
My parents are actors, and so I thought, hey, I'll be an actor too. But my career didn't do anything to do with their career. I did this all on my own.
Yeah. So I thought this
Sure.
story was fascinating. I don't know how much is maybe tinged with legend, but it's still fascinating because he went on and produced a couple of Errol Flynn films. He did the short film, The Story of William Tell, and also Crossed Swords, and those are in the early 50s. And Crossed Swords was like a swashbuckler with Errol Flynn, kind of later era Errol Flynn. And then he goes right into exploitation films. He is making basically softcore erotica. And this movie follows in the wake of such classics as...
Originally, the title was the same, but it was a different story.
That's right, yes.
These rockets are attacking me. Ah!
So this movie comes in the wake of classics like Girls Incorporated, Violent Women, and Cuban Rebel Girls.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to that. Hey, the guy lived.
And a couple of the actors in this film appeared in some of those films.
Now it's starting to make sense.
Right. And he cranked these movies out through most of the 60s.
You shouldn't use that term right now.
I really shouldn't. And I realized as soon as I said it that was the wrong choice of words, but I'm going to stick with it. And, you know, I think maybe like he was feeling a little burnt out around the time he was making the Diary of Knockers McCalla, and
She found the time to write a diary. That's what we all should celebrate, to be fair.
yeah, so he decided he'd done some like children's programming earlier on. None of it's credited on his IMDb, but if you read his bio, they mention it.
I mean, I don't think you'd be able to make that transfer today.
No, you couldn't.
Hey, I've been working for Brazers for the last 20 years. I want to produce CBB shows.
Yeah, so he was getting like burnt out on the erotica, so he decided to go back to children's programming.
My granddad, bless his soul, before he passed away, he would always say to me, back in my day, Scott, I'd get bored of a job. I'd walk next door. I'd be like, hey, you got any jobs? And they'd be like, yeah. Come on then. Here's a wrench. And he'd start working with a wrench. Obviously, that's not a thing anymore, but it's nice to know that that transferred into the film industry as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And at the end of the 60s, he puts out a adaptation of The Wonderful Land of Oz. And he puts that out sandwiched right between Some Like It Violent and Trailer Camp Sex Ring.
I feel like there's so much low-hanging fruit that it would just be Scott making dick jokes that I will just leave it.
His final film in 1972 was Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. And that was the day. And he just retired. He retired relatively young because he lived another, like, 27 years, I think, after the Ice Cream Bunny. But what a fascinating career.
I would just love to have been in his office in like the 1960s, maybe, and his shelves are just filled with paraphernalia from his different films, and so you've got like kids stuff next to giant dildos, and it's just like, yeah, that's me. I'm Mahon. I'm Mahoney.
And if you look at his IMDb filmography, the children's programming, it's not like he was putting out classics. Those movies were also regarded about as well as the softcore stuff and Rocket Attack.
Wait, was his softcore stuff any good though?
I did not do the deep dive on that one.
I should get into it.
Well, that could be your specialty.
I'm going to look them up while you're talking. I want to see what was like the average sort of review. Like, what stars do they get?
Some of them are like 1.7, 2s, things like that.
Oh boy, yeah. There's some real. I mean, the Diary of Knockers McCalla was 6.1. Forbidden Flesh, 3.1. To be fair, The Wonderful Land of Oz is 2.1. So I think people liked his porn more than they liked his kid stuff. And that was a sentence.
Or at least the first 10 minutes of it.
Run, Swinger, Run. Sex Club International. I Was a Man.
Was. Past tense.
Okay. Hey, he's got some like porn stuff in the 6.5s here. Yeah. Art School for Nudists. Confessions of a Bad Girl. Any other ones that make me laugh? Oh my god, there are so many. There's hundreds of them.
I know, right?
This guy was knee deep in porn.
He was.
Wow. He was making porn around the time he made this.
Yeah.
The fact that this is listed on IMDb, though, because porn itself isn't listed on IMDb. So these are,
I think
like,
it is
films. But these are films with just like they show a bit of nipple, right? They're not showing sex acts.
It's softcore, so it's simulated sex.
How do you? What?
Well, they wouldn't have been able to show actual sex in anything. You'd be arrested for that in that time period.
Right.
So it would be simulated.
How do you simulate sex, Cam?
You can check out the works of Barry Mahon for teachings on how to do that, Scott.
Good pivot there. Well done.
Yeah. So it wasn't until I think the start of the 70s where you had the first like actual porn films.
Right.
Yeah. So previous to that, it was more of these. I think what they were called was like bachelor party films, things like that, stag films.
So until that point, you could say it was just the tip.
Yes. So when Mahon Hearts launches, we can dive deep into that filmography.
That will be a fast and quick series that will be over before you know it.
That's right. It'd be very disappointing.
Just like the regular show.
And I have a quote, actually, from Barry about his approach to filmmaking. He says, "We have not aimed for the single picture that is going to make us rich. We are looking for the business that's like turning out Ford cars or anything else. If there is a certain profit per picture and we make so many pictures, then we have an established business that is on a basis that's economical."
That's a man who loves the craft.
That's a guy who's an artist at heart.
He is just like cranking it out. And also making movies.
Yeah, exactly. And he also edited and photographed most of his movies under pseudonyms. So with this film,
please tell me they were like porn style pseudonyms. So like,
you tell me. I'll tell you the names. So the editor on this film was Alan Smiler.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Smiler is also credited as an actor in the film, but not really known which role. It might be actually the narrator. So again, that's the editor on the film. The cinematographer was credited as Mike Tabb. That's also a pseudonym.
So he was doing basically everything on set for this.
Yeah, and I really had questions when the movie started because I didn't do the research in advance. I just watched the movie first.
I had questions when the movie ended, but go on.
But it said Exploit Pictures. And I was like, what?
Right. Is that his like porn production company?
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
Oh boy.
Which makes a lot of sense because like that is a weird thing to put, even if you're making like a kind of hysterical social issues propaganda film, you wouldn't typically say Exploit Pictures because you're basically telling people up front that it's like trash.
Do people care about production cards though, really? I don't.
Doubt it. But
I skip them when I'm watching films.
Sure. But it still felt like kind of putting that on Front Street was an odd decision.
I don't like see Alibaba Productions pop up and I'm like, oh no, I'm not watching this.
I suppose so, but if I'm turning on, Trailer Camp Sex Ring and I see Exploit Pictures at the front, I'm like, damn right, party's on.
You said if, but you meant when, right? Anything else for us?
The movie had an alternate title. It was also known in some places as 5 Minutes to Zero. Which title do you think is better?
5 Minutes to Zero.
That's the more respectable title, but I do think Rocket Attack USA has a camp value that is valuable.
Well, it's very schlocky sounding.
Yeah.
Like this is a sort of film that, like, if it was on a B movie like night at a cinema or something, I would understand.
Exactly, yeah.
And maybe I have to imagine this was pitched as a B movie.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh
like
my God,
68
yes.
minutes, like it's the one you do where you go to the lobby for half of it and get some snacks, and yeah, this is not the main attraction.
No, this is playing before Psycho. Well before Psycho.
Right.
Yeah, and the top 3 for the year, I have no idea what the box office was on this movie. It was fast and cheap to film, and who knows. The top 3 for the year. Number 1 was Spartacus.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 was Psycho. And number 3 was Exodus. Now, Exodus may not be remembered as well. That was a Paul Newman big historical biopic. And it was like 3.5 hours, and it was a real slog.
Fine. Won't watch that.
Yeah. A few other notes on this movie. You mentioned, or you alluded to it being featured someplace that maybe would have gotten some eyeballs. It was, yes, featured on a 1990 episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Mm-hmm.
So it has that credential going for it. But it was also actually featured in a 1982 film I'd never heard of called It Came From Hollywood, where comedians like John Candy, Dan Aykroyd, Cheech and Chong, and Gilda Radner mocked old B movies.
Oh.
And I'd never heard of it, so I searched it. Apparently, they wanted to release it on home video, but the legal issues with having all these clips of old movies prevented them from doing so. And it's actually up on YouTube. I scrolled through trying to find the section featuring this movie, but I think they have like 50 movies in this special.
And they're just flying through them, basically.
Yeah, and I gotta say, it's not very good. It's not exactly, the comedy's not going fast and furious. It's like significant chunks of B-movie footage, and then like Cheech Chong says something funny, and then you get to the next clip for like 4 minutes. And I was like, okay. Originally, when I found it, I was like, I'm going to watch this. But after skimming through it, I thought, I'm not going to watch this.
Well, I was going to rewatch not rewatch. I've seen a lot of Mystery Science Theater 3000. I actually watched their episode on OK Connery recently. That was quite funny.
Oh, yeah.
But I've not seen their episode on this, and I didn't want to watch it in case I ended up nicking a joke or something.
Yeah, no, that's a smart choice. And the other reason I didn't watch it came from Hollywood ultimately, too, was like, it was really mashing up stuff like Rocket Attack USA with also them making fun of like Creature from the Black Lagoon. And I'm like, come on, guys. There's a big difference in quality here. Pick your targets appropriately.
I just looked it up. It's an hour and 20 minutes as well. Like, it's a pretty long thing.
Yeah. So those who are fans of any of those comedians and have seen all the obvious works that are out there, check this one out as a curiosity, I'd say.
There you go. Anything else?
Yes.
Oh.
I have a Star Trek connection.
Oh, well, I mean, we haven't done our allotted 3 mentions of Star Trek yet, so this is number 2. Please go ahead.
So you were saying the actors didn't have a lot going for them. You know,
Sure.
There's no photos on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the truck driver who we meet in the second half of the movie? He's leaving for work.
Yeah, he like kisses his girl and says, I'll wear a tie later.
Yes, and he kisses her and she's like, makes this weird noise.
Very odd noise. I was watching this with Hannah, my wife, and she was like, "What was that noise?" And then she's like, Like, she said it, she's done it a few times to me today, actually.
It was a very odd choice, but that actress, Jane Ross, appeared in the original Star Trek episode Gamesters of Triskelion. She played there's no other way to say this, homely alien warrior that hits on Chekhov throughout the episode.
Is that the character's name, or are you just saying she looks homely?
She's intended to look that way in the episode. There's a lot of makeup going on.
Okay. I remember Gamesters of Triskelion. I don't remember that character. I'm sorry, Jane.
You should look up a photo right now, Scott, and I will say the character's name is Tamoon.
Oh, what have they done?
Right?
She's like the Bride of Frankenstein, but in green.
Yeah.
Yeah, Star Trek did her dirty, people.
Definitely. Because the main joke was like, Kirk got paired up with this woman who was like drop dead attractive, and then Chekhov had this curious woman.
That's an odd choice as well, because like Chekhov was known as like the heartthrob.
I know.
Is that season 3 episode Triskelion?
No, I think that was season 2, which is considered by many to be the best season.
Well, they can't all be home runs, Cameron.
There you go. So there is a Star Trek connection.
Okay, well, the bombs are dropping. We got to get under the table and review this film. I know our destination is predetermined. We don't think it's making the knock list, but we could talk about it and maybe just talk about why.
Yeah.
So, I'll lead us off.
Please.
What a hilarious mess this film is. Like, it's so charming in its just ineptitude.
Yeah.
You're watching it like, is it a docudrama? Is it actually just an acted piece of drama? It's neither, because it doesn't do either of those things particularly well. Like, the whole Red Scare thing I totally get, but, ultimately there is a lack of character, of drama, of film craft, and I think mostly fun. They all seem to be lacking from this film. And, like, I've heard this mentioned as a bit of a cult classic.
Yeah.
But when I think of cult classic films, I think of Rocky Horror, I think of Toxic Avenger and stuff like that. Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, even the quote-unquote bad ones.
The bad ones.
Like the Ed Wood films, yeah. They are more entertaining.
You can laugh at the ineptitude.
Yeah.
This is more just like, this passed for a film?
Right.
Like, I think I'd rather watch his porn stuff. That might get more of a rise out of me. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Oh, boy. Yeah, like, at some point, I think I was annoyed with it for the first 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. There's like, in the early start, there's like a 5-minute dance sequence for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Uninterrupted dance sequence. Then I was just like, what is this doing?
It's funny because I had shown my girlfriend From Russia with Love the night before I watched this.
What a two-parter that is, From Russia with Love and Rocket Attack USA.
Yeah, she did not stick around for Rocket Attack, but there's the extended dance sequence in the Roma camp in From Russia with Love, right?
Mhm.
And I was watching it with her, and in my head I'm thinking like, boy, this is kind of dragged out. I'm wondering more about her patience for a scene like that versus
Sure.
mine.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, boy, this is kind of dragged out.
You're talking about more like the girl fight, really. That's the long bit.
Well, no, before that there's the dance sequence.
Oh yeah, I guess there is like a little belly dance thing, yeah.
And it's just a woman dancing. That's what I'm referring to, specifically
Yeah.
the dance number.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking like, oh, this is kind of long. And then I get to Rocket Attack, and I'm watching another dance scene like that, and I'm like, oh, that Bond one was really artfully shot. Like, that's why that scene is somehow more tolerable.
It's so insulting that it's a still shot. Like, it's one camera, and they change acts during the dance sequence. So one dance ends and another music performance starts afterwards. I timed it. It's 5 minutes with no characters, no like plot changes. It's just watching people perform.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, that is not a restaurant. That's like someone's living room.
Oh yeah. Don't get into set design.
I mean, it's either like someone's house or it's a classroom, I think.
I mean, yeah, it is a rough sit. Like, if you're coming at this, I think this is probably one of those films that, like, maybe if you watched it 10 times, you'd start to find it funny after a while, like Stockholm Syndrome. But on a first watch, it's quite rough.
Yeah, and you mentioned, Plan 9 from Outer Space, and there's a lot of those types of movies that are kind of famous for being bad.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, watching one called, I bought one of those DVD packs of, like, 100 monster movies kind of thing.
Sure.
And there was one called Beast of Yucca Flats, which is not well known. It was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000 as well. And I remember laughing throughout it because it was completely inept. In fact, they didn't even record sound on the movie, so they just did narration the entire film. And it was like really funny. And I remember thinking, oh, like I didn't realize there was ones outside of the obvious Plan 9 kind of stuff that are worthy of watching for fun. And so when Rocket Attack started, I thought, oh, this is going to be like one of those, and I'm going to laugh a lot. And I was more just like, as you said, I think you'd have to watch it like maybe 10, 20, 30 times before you'd start to go, oh, this is hilarious. It reminds me there was a podcast that watched Grown Ups 2 over and over again. I think it was called like the Worst Idea Ever podcast. And
how many times did they watch it?
I think like it was every week for at least a year, so 52 times, I guess. And by the end, they were like in a state of delirium.
What do you find to talk about after a while with that film?
You'll have to tell me when you do that with Remo Williams.
Hey, at least that's got like some film craft going on. You've got like Peter Hunt directing and stuff. Like, there's stuff going on with Remo.
Yeah.
Or I'll just talk about those dogs that were really well trained and sort of danced and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you are bang on with this one where it's like you don't sit through it the first time laughing for 60 minutes.
No, I think your arms are crossed for a lot of it because you're almost insulted by what you're seeing. And there are I wrote down early on, I said the war is as cold as the dialogue. Which is funny, but it is more interesting of a line than anything uttered in the film.
Yeah.
And that came out of my brain, and I'm not a screenwriter. And so the ultimate question I came out, and we'll get to your thoughts in a second, was like, who is this film for? What was the point of it? Because like, at least when you go back to propaganda films of the World War I and II, they'd often end or start with like, hey, buy war bonds, support your boys out on the front line. And I get that. As a pitch, I understand. It's to sell war bonds. That makes sense for a propaganda film. What is this doing?
Trying to convince people to be scared of Sputnik. I guess that's the primary thing.
So what you're saying is this is a very early like conspiracy theory thing. This is the modern day 5G.
I mean, it's a lot of like Red Scare and atomic anxiety propaganda, but it also, as I said, feels like it's kind of late in the run for that sort of stuff.
Late in the run, but I like, as a filmmaker, I can't figure out what he was trying to say.
I don't think he's worried about that.
Oh.
I think he probably was like, these types of movies make a little bit of money and let's go.
I've got some access to stock footage of like a bomb going off in the ocean. I can use that. Oh, I think it was Hiroshima actually at the end.
Was it?
I think it's Hiroshima or Nagasaki because it's taken from the aerial view of the other plane.
But there's also, I think this movie is maybe, what do you think, 40% perhaps stock footage?
Yeah, about that, or like hand drawn animation at one point.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, a lot of that footage is just circulating around it. So he's probably like, I can make this fast and cheap
Yeah,
and just use 40% of this stock footage and, I don't know, just try to sell it to a market where there is room for these types of exploitation films.
sure, sure. I found it odd, and I don't think I want to invest my life to watch it another 20 times to find it funny.
No, I think that's probably a very wise choice on your part.
Yeah. Well, what about you? Like, did you learn to love it, the atomic bomb, as it were?
Um, I knew where I was going almost immediately
Sure.
when we had Dr. Hemlick sit down and explain the situation to us, the exposition, and the man could not set any sort of eye line whatsoever. I don't know where he was looking, but he was not looking at anyone at the table he was sitting at, and he was clearly reciting dialogue, like trying to struggle to recite the dialogue.
Yeah.
He was like trying to remember things. He'd pause. You could see his eyes shifting around as he would get to the next line. I don't know if he had his lines on cue cards that he was looking at somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
but it was so stilted that I went, okay, I know what I'm in for. Strap yourself in because you got 64 minutes of this straight ahead of you. And I guess the amusement was more for me in terms of the spy story. Like how inept can we tell a spy story where we can't even be bothered giving the like agent a clear last name? I guess his last name is Manston, as I'm looking at on IMDb, but I just refer to him as John the whole time.
Yeah, I had him down as John.
So it's like, hey, bring in our top spy, John.
It's John. Yeah, because I think at one point they shout like, Johnny, go.
Yeah.
So I got that down. But yeah, and also like the love interest, I suppose,
Tanya
is got one name.
Yeah, so it's like feels very generic.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. And we'll get to the specifics of the spy story and what have you. But like, I have a real intolerance for scenes showing me stock footage and stuff of like rocket information from this time period. And this isn't specific to just this. I've seen it in many different, kind of B movies, or I think there was a Disney collection they put out called Tomorrowland that had a lot of these vintage cartoons built around, rocket lessons for kids, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I would watch them and get so bored because as soon as they go to like static scientist explaining rockets to me, I just am like, oh my God, I can't watch this.
Sure.
So for me, that stuff is a sleep aid. I'm sure there's people that find it fascinating. Not me. I find that instant sleep aid. And so every time they were showing me that kind of stuff in this movie, I was like, oh my God, no, please no. But there were a few laughs along the way. Mostly falling, I found in the back half where you get the twist.
Well, I want to let's pin the twist for a second.
Yeah,
I think I want to talk about that too.
Yeah,
but if we're talking about the ineptitude of it all,
yeah,
there's a moment that like stood out to me. Like I did laugh at it, but I was laughing at it, not with it.
Of course,
and that is like, so we have our two leads, our secret agents, who, spoiler alert, are killed by the 40-minute mark.
Were they? I couldn't tell, Scott.
Well, that's my point. So they're running away from these Russian soldiers. They're behind enemy lines in Leningrad. And they're being shot at. And then the lady just lays down. Now, I'm not sure if she was shot, but she just lays down.
She said she was okay.
Says she was okay, and then pulls out a gun and shoots the other soldier. And, like, at no point the filmmaker ever telegraphs that she was shot. And so I'm left wondering what happened.
Yep.
And then the other guy and she's like, Johnny, go on, Johnny. And he runs off and also fails at his mission. And like, I'm not saying you need to shoot a super exciting dynamic shooting sequence, like a gun sequence or a chase sequence or anything like that, but execute a film in which you actually can tell the story of, was your character hit or not?
Well, it's also like pitch black.
Uh-huh.
Like, it is shot at night, and which is interesting. I thought they would go day for night, perhaps, just
Yeah.
to save money and make it easier on themselves. They didn't. They committed to the shooting at night, and I couldn't see anything. I was sitting there like straining at my TV, trying to see what was going on, and it was tough.
Yeah. I laughed, but I was more just like, what are we doing here? You know that sort of hysteria we have when we were talking about Scarlet Coat.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? I felt the same way, but it was more about what the director was doing. I felt bad for him.
Right.
Like, this is, I think somewhere in here, in this film, is an interesting story. But it was handled by the worst person.
I mean, it just feels like it's a cash-in kind of thing. As, I mentioned that quote from him earlier, and it's very clear this was not a man looking to make any sort of art.
No.
But, I mean, I did have the question was, is this the most inept spy film we've ever seen? I mean, most of this film is a guy sitting in someone's living room.
Yeah. I have problems with stuff like The House on 92nd Street, and I had problems when we watched it. That felt like a film.
Yes.
Like there was some filmmaking going on, like shots of exteriors in New York when they're going between houses and stuff like that. Like that felt like they'd used the space and they'd used the location. This is rinky-dink. Like, if you told me some film students had shot this, I'd believe you. And if anything, I would be embarrassed for them.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't even come across like someone who is familiar with how to actually tell a spy film. Like has not internalized anything.
Oh no. Oh no. I don't think they know how to tell a story, let alone a spy story. And I'll even go as far as to say, king of the bad movies, Tommy Wiseau. Like The Room is a dreadful film.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yes, there's some like funniness you can quote lines at it when you see it with him in the audience and stuff like that. That's fun. But like Tommy Wiseau is a better filmmaker than this guy.
Yeah, because Tommy Wiseau swings wildly for things he is unable to convey on screen.
Sure.
This feels very pat. This feels like just putting minimal effort into everything, whereas like Tommy Wiseau is putting maximum effort into something and having it go horribly awry.
Well, he's putting maximum effort with zero skill.
Yeah.
Like you can appreciate someone swinging for the fences, like you say. This is minimum effort with no skill.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is resting on your laurels, like just defined. Like this is what this is, and like there are so many scenes in this film of army dudes just stood on a phone or sat at the desk on a phone.
Oh, General Watkins?
General Watkins, that's the guy. And like you won't even like all of these conversations, you never hear the other half of the conversation, which is frustrating as hell.
Yeah.
Like just ADR in the other side of it, like so we know what they're talking about. And we've spoken to so many people about like, especially filmmakers, directors, screenwriters, about making those scenes dynamic. And I know. This is Rocket Attack USA. I'm not expecting Spy Game, but these are the scenes that I think about when I think about just how good stuff in Spy Game is.
Right.
This is a generic copy-paste white dude in an army uniform spouting exposition because it needs to progress the plot that I think you could probably show to filmmakers in film school and they go, don't do that.
Right. And you could also look at the Kremlin scenes where everyone is speaking Russian and they
It's
just
in
have
Russian,
voice.
and there's no subtitles. Like what?
Well, they have.
What is this?
They have a narrator talking over top of it in some scenes.
Sometimes. Like it's potluck. Like sometimes it's like the general is now discussing whether he should blow up New York, but otherwise it's just like Russian gibberish.
Yeah, there's a scene where like it's just the folks from the Kremlin out like walking in a field or something like that, and it's maybe like 3 minutes or 2 minutes of just straight Russian dialogue where you sit there and stare at the screen going, I don't know.
And like as you say about like the dance sequence, like you could shoot that 5-minute dance sequence if you really wanted to show it on the screen in a way that's interesting.
Yeah.
They don't. The Kremlin scenes are the one, like, for some reason, 7 or 8 guys hunched around at not even a table half the time. Their chairs are all facing each other, like they're doing Ring Around the Rosies or something like that. Nutters. Absolute mad lads. Don't get it. But, like, it's clear to me that is it Chris? No, it's Barry. Barry Mahon had no place being allowed behind the camera.
I just love that, like, the Department of Defense or the Kremlin have, like, a table that holds 4 people.
Yeah. Like, you look at, like, Putin's room now that's, like, the size of my house.
Yeah.
Clearly, kicking communism was great for their economy because they could afford bigger tables.
Or when they launched the rocket, it's one guy sitting at, like, a keypad.
But, like, meticulously pressing buttons for 3 minutes before it launches.
With that horrible tone that hurts your ears.
It wasn't just me. Oh, my God, I'm so thankful. My dog Mac was going nuts at that scene. Like, the tone of it was, like, it disturbing him. I was already disturbed by the film, but, like, my dog was losing his shit.
That was a choice.
Yeah. The boring answer is they were trying to emulate the emergency alert system tones.
Yeah.
Which are specific audio tones that are meant to annoy your ears, to keep you interested and to keep you attentive. That's why he did it. But yeah, it didn't need to be that. He could have just had like the Death Star. When they fire the Death Star, there's a guy in the tube in the chamber, and he presses the button, and you see the green light going through. Right? That's basically it is. Is it like a little bit like in 5, 4, 3? You have a countdown. There's none of that. There's some gibberish in Russian that there's no one telling you what they're saying, and then he's just flicking switches, and then eventually, you see a little like hand-drawn rocket shoot up.
I would love to see what that set looked like. Like, that was like a control panel pushed into like the corner of a house.
Well, like when you see like fan films being made, and it is like someone's house exactly, and they've just like dressed it slightly but terribly. The only thing this film has got going for it is that it's in black and white and standard definition. If you found a film reel to this and blew it up to HD and like colorized it, can you imagine how bad it would look?
Yeah, I think it was the scenes with the general where often they would shoot it where you couldn't actually see any room. You could just see some wall behind him.
Yeah, like concrete walls sometimes, I think.
Yeah, and I was really questioning, like, what was that location actually like if you zoom out?
Let's talk about this film's saving grace.
Yeah, but it's the only like, right?
It's the only like I don't even feel like doing likes and dislikes in this episode because the film is so nuts, and we're not sticking to our our recipe anyway. So let's just talk about what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
The only saving grace of this film, and I think it was the moment I sat up in my chair, my rocket was almost attacking. Is that there is actually a like Quentin Tarantino alternate history twist in the last 10 minutes of this film.
Yeah.
The Russians, basically the spy plot, I'll give you the gist of the story. The spies are sent to Leningrad to try and defuse a nuclear, or to blow up, I should say, an ICBM. The Russians in this story have invented the intercontinental ballistic missile. They've tested it in space by firing Sputnik up there. And if you don't know how intercontinental ballistic missiles work, basically, instead of being like a straight missile that flies over the ocean, a lot of them go into low atmosphere and they travel that distance and then come back down straight on their target, which is why they're a lot harder to shoot down than a straight missile. A lot of missiles you see in like films are often wrong. That's not how intercontinental ballistic missiles are fired. They're fired up into the atmosphere, they travel around and come back down. Much harder to defend. Anyway, our spy is sent out to take it down before it can fire. They fail in their mission. They're all gunned down. The Russians defused the bomb, and I will say I feel very bad for that Russian foot soldier that was just given the dynamite to run off into the distance and then blow himself up. I was like, I would have just thrown the damn thing. The guy was like, no, I'm going to run. I'm just going to run with it in my hands.
That would have been our job, let's be honest.
I speak for yourself. I would have been the guy in the laundry van later on with a tie.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah. I mean, I still get hit by a rocket, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But then they failed. And so the rest of the film is the only character left that has a name, really, is the General Watkins. And basically, he finds out that the Russians have launched a missile. And then they try and fire. I mean, you have to kind of figure this out yourself, but they fire countermeasures to try and take it down, which fail. And then the last few scenes is the rocket hitting New York and obliterating New York and killing 3 million people. And oh shit, they actually went for it. Like, fair enough. I think it fails to deal with the consequences of that, and it uses stock footage to show the explosion. But I appreciate that they went for it.
They do mention the suburbs were okay.
Yeah, everyone's fine in the suburbs, but those horrible New York workers were blown to pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other character is Bill Deal, played by Ray Brewer.
Character.
Well, the newscaster.
And he gets a nice sign. You meet him after the spy mission's failed.
Yeah.
And he's like going to work, and she's like, "Oh, stay home with me and the kids. We miss you." And he's like, "I've got to go to work. The America needs me. Damn it!" And then he gets to do the old, red alert. I think he says red alert.
Yeah.
There is a missile heading for New York. This is not a drill. Please take shelter. And like this silly film that doesn't work, in an instant, just turns and actually becomes something that's mildly tense.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh my god, like, well, are we going to do this? Are we going to intercept it? And then they do drop it. And his like last sign off is like, God bless you all. And then he says like, if you can hear this, I love you. I'm sorry I'm not home with you. I'm stupid and I should be home with you. I love you. And then boom, everything gets blown up. And I'm like, yes, great. And then the film ends.
Yeah, and it says, we cannot let this be the end.
Yeah. I wonder what the director was trying to say.
Well, it's funny because like you have that after the twist of the spies dying, you are setting up the truck driver who works in construction. Was he in construction or a truck driver?
It could have been anything really. He was blue collar worker. Yeah,
blue collar worker. So you set him up. You set up the newscaster. There's also that one scene with that guy getting off a plane and asking how the markets are.
Yeah, he gets off. There's a really cool shot of like the plane landing in the water, and he gets off into the dock, and then that's it.
What was that?
I have to imagine they shot another scene of him, like, I don't know, maybe like huddled over his money to try and protect it or something, or like maybe there's like a shot of him laying in the rubble with like a phone with a cord hanging off the bottom and it's broken. he's just like weeping because he can't count his money anymore.
Because in that moment, I'm like, oh, they're setting up a new cast of characters that we're going to follow in the last half hour or whatever.
Less, but yeah.
And I thought, 20 minutes or 15 minutes. And I thought, oh, okay. And so the markets guy was introduced, and I thought, oh, okay, I guess he's one of the three we're setting up here. And then he was never acknowledged again, which made me really wonder why that scene's even in the movie.
I have to imagine something was cut. That's the only way I can see it being a thing.
It was wonderfully stilted, though, that creation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan of. It's a film we haven't really spoken about. I don't think you've seen it, but I do urge you to see it, and I urge listeners to watch it. It's called Threads.
Yeah.
I've referenced it before. I even referenced it to Phil Alden Robinson, who referenced it in his own film, The Sum of All Fears. I'll just get some details on the film. 1 second.
Well, while you're doing that, there are like some really great sort of films tied to this Cold War concept. I think of like Failsafe is a great one. But we'll get back to what you were saying about Threads.
Well, like Threads is a 1984 film made by the BBC here. There was basically a cautionary tale about war, about the use of nuclear missiles. But what Threads does really well, it basically does exactly what this film starts doing at the 45-minute mark.
Right.
Is it introduces you to a bunch of characters who are just living their lives. Like one person's found out she's pregnant from her boyfriend. She's really young, and the family like, oh my god, what are you going to do about this pregnancy? And there's like some guys going to work, complaining about their job, all this sort of stuff, mundane stuff that happens to everyone's life, right? Day-to-day life in like a northern, I think Sheffield it happens in a northern town of Sheffield. And then halfway through the film, there's like in the background, there's like little bits of like the news reporters like rising tensions today with Russia over peace talks, but nothing is really there. And then boom, nuke, boom, nuke, boom, one even next to you. People are killed. Glass shatters, buildings come down, and they actually like shot this stuff. They didn't use stock footage for it. It's great. And the other half of the film is basically like chapters in the decay of the United Kingdom.
Right.
Like you have the immediate aftermath, and then like a few months later, and then a couple of years later, and then a few more years after that. And like at one point, the lady who in the film, she's pregnant at the start. Like she has the baby and it's stillborn. And you're like, Jesus, like that is whoa. And like you watch it happen, and you're like, this is horrible. And I'm like, this film was about to tap into that, and it didn't.
Yeah, it's way too simplistic to be doing anything like that.
Sure. Watch Threads.
And friend of the show, Nicholas Meyer, also made one called The Day After in the 80s as well.
He did, which I think is the American version, basically.
Yeah, which I haven't seen, but I have it on my shelf actually to watch.
I haven't seen it either. We should watch it.
Yeah. So like these sorts of things are out there, and I think there's just far better examples than anything going on in Rocket Attack USA.
Maybe I'm unfairly critiquing it based on a film that I like. But I've seen that done better.
Yeah.
Right? And I've also seen a spy story like this done much better.
Yes.
So this is basically the lesser of both things.
Yeah. And, we're saying like the twist is the thing we enjoyed the most. I will say the thing that gave me the most joy was the blind man saying, "Help me," at the end of the film.
Yeah, didn't really shout it too much, and people just ran past him, which was nice.
It was the super awkward way he said, "Help me." That genuinely got a big laugh out of me.
That did get a bit of a laugh out of me. Also a bit of also a tiny bit of sadness because that's probably what would happen in reality.
Sure, but the way the scene
Cam's shoulder barging blind people as he runs to the shelter. I'll take that stick.
It's so awkwardly directed though that it is comic gold.
Well, also he doesn't even say the line. It's ADR'd, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not great.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Agents, we don't expect you to talk. We expect you to buy a subscription to our Patreon.
Yee, that's right. Over on the SpyHards Patreon, we're covering all your favorite spy TV shows, as well as popular films from the most iconic secret agent actors of all time.
Cam, why don't you share some intel on our latest assignment?
Well, Scott, we are completing our Rudyard Kipling duology by taking a look at the 1975 adventure epic, The Man Who Would Be King, the only movie that dared pair up James Bond with Harry Palmer. Does John Huston's grand-scale cautionary tale still boast treasure galore? We are gonna find out.
So deactivate Ghost Protocol and visit patreon.com/spyhards to truly do things angel style.
But before we close Channel D, on with the Spy Jinx.
I'm just looking at my notes of things I wanted to maybe mention. We mentioned the narration. I think it was a bit much. The subtitles or lack thereof was weird. Lady laying down. I think the one other thing that holds us all back, as well as the bad, terrible, dreadful, awful filmmaking, is these aren't actors.
No.
I don't think anyone's been to RADA here, darling.
Well, Monica Davis, who plays, she's the lead of the film, the spy Tanya. If you look at her filmography, it's this is one of her early credits, but then she's mostly doing those kinds of kind of softcore exploitation films,
right? Going
forward. So it's not like people that are really trained actors. John McKay, who plays, spoiler, John the agent, has 4 credits to his name. These are not people that are really trained actors.
I mean, her other claim to fame is the improbable Mr. McWeegee. So yeah, I don't think she had the most thrilling of careers.
True. I think the most interesting one was Art Metrano, who plays the truck driver, who actually sued Seth MacFarlane. He was actually paralyzed in an accident, became quadriplegic.
What?
And and he did have a bit of a career. He was in a couple of the Police Academy movies.
Okay.
But there was a lawsuit over that elements of his life, and he did regain mobility. He could move his arms and legs again.
Okay.
With, I guess, enough work and dedication. He actually was able to make that happen for himself. But I guess there was a Family Guy thing. And it was a Stewie, I think, spin-off kind of story, and they took elements of his biography and he sued them and settled out of court. So it sounds like he actually did get a payday.
One of the main characters of Family Guy is in a wheelchair.
It was a Stewie related thing.
Okay, so it wasn't that guy.
So I don't think so, but yeah, it was just interesting that was the sort of the actor who has the most kind of story. But if you go to his his Wikipedia page, it's definitely, it's from the 2005 episode Stewie Griffin: The Untold Story, where Stewie alludes to the miracles of Jesus Christ being exaggerated a bit. The cutaway shows Jesus performing to a group of odd onlookers while doing Metrano's act. So basically, Metrano was someone who had an act,
right?
And they ripped it off for that Family Guy story.
Very specific joke.
Yeah, so it was settled out of court in 2010.
I don't really have much more to say about the film.
Scott, I am shocked.
Oh.
Shocked.
Oh.
That you did not bring up
Oh.
the pride of your country,
Uh-huh.
Morris Steele from British intelligence.
Ah, yes, the guy who was captured.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, he was very British in his approach to things.
Uh-huh.
He was captured and then just kept his the keep calm and carry on composure that we all Brits should have.
And a very obvious British accent as well.
Oh yes, he's definitely from somewhere in Britain. Where would you say that accent's from, Cam? You know them. You know my country so well.
Well, I was actually thinking he was maybe Canadian.
There wasn't a lot of ooh-ees.
No, but he did not have an English accent.
No, not particularly. He had the odd like, "Oi, governor," kind of like from time to time. He put a little bit of a Cockney spin from a couple of things, but yeah, it wasn't particularly British. It is interesting though that was his only film credit.
Yes, it was. It was. I mean, when you hit the stars, just settle. You're done.
He Morris Steeled the show.
He did. He did. I really enjoyed that character though when he popped up.
I got a couple of final notes before I wrap us up then.
You okay?
Firstly, is this a case of the poster being more interesting than the film?
Oh, always. That's always the case for exploitation films and a lot of horror movies in the 1980s as well.
Like, I wonder how many spy movies have that problem though.
I'm not prepared to go through every single movie poster from a spy film.
No, I just think that might be a good fun exercise we can do online during the week. I might post about it, like what spy movies have a poster that's better than the actual film itself.
I think London Connection, that's one we haven't tackled yet, but that one immediately jumps to mind.
Okay, I'll put your vote in as London Connection. I did laugh at the moment right before the bomb lands where there's a guy eating pizza.
Yeah.
And then notice how much pizza was selling for. Can you remember how much it was selling for, Cam?
No, I didn't notice this.
15 cents for a pizza.
A whole pizza?
I'm assuming it's by the slice.
15 cents, boy.
But in this
Sweet.
economy?
No kidding.
Like, good grief. Take me back to the 1950s.
Yeah.
It's like £25 for a Domino's pizza these days. What's the deal with Domino's pizza? Cam has no hot takes about pizza.
I mean, Domino's is not my favorite.
Who do you go with?
Panago.
Is that a local thing?
I honestly don't know if that's a North American, if it's a Canadian. I'd never really thought about it.
I've never seen it in America.
Maybe it's a Canadian thing.
Pan-A-Go.
Yeah, Panagopolis pizza. Yeah.
It's a Canadian pizza, Cam. So it's, privately held Canadian pizza chain.
I've always liked it, and when you come to visit, you can try Panago pizza, I suppose.
If it gets me away from Domino's, I'm happy.
Domino's, I remember they had a deal where if you bought, 4 pizzas or something, you got a free one. And so my friend and I, when we would record podcasts, would order Domino's over and over and over just to get free pizzas, and we hated it every time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like that was worth it.
It wasn't worth it, but we just kept doing it. I don't know what was wrong with us.
Free things. It's very attractive. Have you got any notes?
I got a couple things. The tragic backstory of Tanya, who is, I guess, doing some sort of honeypot act.
I think you see a little bit of her in a nightie. I guess that's a little bit of his previous and future work seeping into the film.
I thought so as well, and I did like the John sitting in the closet the whole time.
What a place to hide as a spy. It's like what's that lady in Live and Let Die?
Solitaire?
No, she's at the start of the film. She's like a Russian agent.
She's not Russian. I think she was maybe Italian or something.
Oh, sure. The actress's name is escaping me, and everyone is screaming at us now. But
Madeline Smith.
Madeline Smith, that's her. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've met her. I should know that. Madeline Smith. Just watching Bond mosey on up to Moneypenny in the cupboard.
Also,
Or, of course,
Yeah.
Britt Eklund having to watch Bond have sex with Maud Adams.
that's right. Yeah, in Man with the Golden Gun, of course.
What's it with Roger Moore and wanting to be watched from the cupboards?
I don't want to know. But I mean, I did laugh at how much of John's spycraft was hiding in a closet or sitting in a chair in the living room.
I mean, if that's a job for spies, I'm in.
That's true. What did you think of the big romance moment?
Is it when they sort of briefly touched each other?
No, there's the big kiss.
There was a kiss?
Oh, there was a big kiss.
Big kiss.
Yeah, the score kicked in and everything.
Oh, I've already blanked it out of my mind.
I thought the tension between the two of them was palpable. I was fanning myself.
I mean, there are relationships in film for the ages, and this is truly not one of them.
No, it's not. And
No.
you and I often make fun of bad romances in older movies, like that just feel like they're really shoehorned. This is the worst I've ever seen.
Oh, this I was expecting it to happen.
Yeah.
This Pretty Lady, Pretty Man, and Ooga Booga filmmaker, a real knuckle dragger, and so like it happened, and I felt nothing. I felt more of an emotional reaction to the Russian soldier running away with the dynamite. I weeped for him. I weeped for old, Dmitri.
The other note I had was when John is called into the office of his boss at the start when he's getting the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
They refer to some, a messy previous mission in Vienna. Prequel? Question mark.
Rocket Attack Vienna.
Do you stick with the Rocket Attack branding, or is it a different type of mission?
I think they jettison this idea very quickly when he pitches it at WB, I imagine.
That was like, it's funny because there's a lot of awkward backstory. Tanya just stops the movie dead to explain her backstory at one point. But I did kind of like the allusion to a previous mission. That was the kind of thing you hear in like a Bond film, and you're like, ooh, what was that like?
Well, they kind of give it like an M thing, like an introduction thing anyway. But there's always that sort of spy master deal, isn't there?
This one had a lot less gravitas.
He did. It was more just arse.
He was like, hey, buddy, you want to go on a mission?
Hello, mate.
Okay, cool.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Boom, he failed. That's probably the reason why. It's actually the spy master's fault.
I think a lot of things are the spy agency's fault in this movie.
Yeah. This USA deserved its rocket attack.
It did.
That is really me for this film. I wish I had more to say.
I think we did spectacularly well for a 64-minute exploitation film.
I think so too. Can we both handshake agree that this is not making the knock list?
I think that was well out of my mind the second I was listening to Dr. Hemlick give his exposition.
Can you grab a certain instrument for me, please?
Whoa, are you referring to the works of Barry Mahon there?
Oh, leave his rocket out of it. The question is this making the Disavowed list, the list of the worst spy movies of all time? Cam, what are some of the films that are on the Disavowed list? Because we haven't touched that in quite a while.
Yeah, Scott. So the Disavowed list, it includes some notorious examples on the show, like One of Our Dinosaurs Is Missing, the Men in Black, 2 and 4 sequels, the Harry Palmer TV movies, some of the Taken sequels. But some of the more recent inductees include such classics as Cats and Dogs 3, Paws Unite, The Art of War with Wesley Snipes, Eye of the Beholder with Ashley Judd, One of Our Spies Is Missing, the worst of the Man from U.N.C.L.E. films, and also Section 31, the Star Trek streaming movie.
Tying it all back to Star Trek as we love to do.
Yes. There's also a couple bad Spy Kids movies on that list.
Well, is Rocket Attack USA joining this esteemed list, or is it just a steaming pile of shit?
To me, there was never a question, like throughout the first even 15 minutes of this movie.
I was unsure until that lady laid down in that mud pile pretending to be dead. or she was acting her socks off. That was the problem. I just couldn't tell.
I mean, when I was watching the characters wander around a living room, I was like, oh, this is rough.
And also, like, just because they're on Mystery Science Theater 3000, we didn't really reference that at all particularly, doesn't mean they're going to get on the Disavowed list. But this one, clearly cannon fodder.
If Plan 9 from Outer Space was a spy movie, would you put it on the list, or would you regard it as something that's too fun to be on the Disavowed?
I think there's too much of a sort of cultural appreciation of the film.
Right.
Like, it's referenced in Ed Wood. Like, it has a lineage.
Yeah. I think that's
Whereas
fair.
This is forgotten.
Yeah.
So, Cam, Rocket Attack USA, is it making a Disavowed list for you?
100%. The Disavowed list was created for movies better than this.
Yeah, like Men in Black 2 is better than this film.
Yeah, Taken 3 is better than this film.
I actually dare say Section 31 is better than this film.
Big Jim McClane is on this list, and
Yeah,
actually,
that's actually a fun film in its own way.
and that's a 1950s hysteria film. So if anything belongs with Big Jim McClane on the Disavowed list, it's this one.
I mean, there's a leper colony in Big Jim McClane. I'd rather live there than watch Rocket Attack USA again.
Would you rather watch this or Trenchcoat again?
Oh, Trenchcoat.
Yeah.
Margot Kidder's funny, regardless of the film being shite.
What about Cats and Dogs 3?
I think I'd rather watch this because it's quicker.
Yeah, it's 1 hour.
Yeah. So, it's a yes from me. All that's left to do, Cam, strike up the band and let's disavow this sucker. We play the slide whistle because, frankly, that is the worst choice ever made in a James Bond film. Unarguably, for me. And so we think it's a way of sending this film off to its grave.
Yeah, and it's funny we had 2 Man with the Golden Gun mentions in this episode.
Yeah. So there you go. Perfect. It's symmetry. It's lovely. Well, there you go, folks. That was Rocket Attack, and frankly, I'm bombed out.
I am a crater in the ground.
I don't have to do any more than that. I feel like I've been beaten down by this zany film. I have nowhere to go. I need someone to come and get retribution for me.
Yes, help rebuild the debris that was once SpyHards HQ. And who better to do that than Denzel Washington? He can do anything, right?
Anything. He could cut your hair. He could make your breakfast. He could probably kill you in multiple ways. And I bet he'd be a really good conversationalist at a dinner.
And he also has access to Home Mart supplies, which are very valuable at the moment to us.
And apparently he hates cinema now.
Well, that too. And who can blame him after watching movies like Rocket Attack?
Well, yeah, he saw that and he's like, you know what? It doesn't get any better than that.
I'm done.
Peak.
Well, for those who haven't figured it out, next week we'll be back to wrap up the Equalizer series for now, until those sequels that have been long promised roll out. But we are going to take a look at 2024's Equalizer 3.
Yes. We are finishing our run for now with Robert McCall and going back just 1 year, finishing where I started my journey with the Equalizer.
And finishing where most sane people finished.
What if they made it that far? Although I think it was the most successful of the 3.
They're all pretty much on kind of an even keel.
Okay, but we'll get into that. So, folks, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to join us next week as we head back just 1 year to 2024 and take a look at the Equalizer 3. If you like what you heard in this episode, please consider joining us over on our Patreon. I know, Rocket Attack USA, you think like, oh, the boys have peaked. What more could they have to offer? Well, frankly, there's a lot.
You know what, Scott? I can think of a better movie about rockets. Check out over on the Patreon our episode on The Rock, which featured Sean Connery, Nick Cage, and rockets.
And green anal beads.
And I think we also did a commentary once upon a time on Thunderball, which featured missiles, which are torpedoes.
We also did Meteor as well. That has things impacting.
I think they fired rockets at an asteroid, didn't they? Or meteor?
Probably. That sounds like the sort of goofy thing the Americans would do. Anyway, if you're American, come and join us on the Patreon, patreon.com/SpyHards. And if you're not, come and join us anyway. Loads of episodes over there, bonus stuff that you can't get on the main feed. And really, yes, it's all about the extra content, but really what it's about is keeping the lights on here at SpyHards HQ. We've been bombed out by all these rockets. There's nothing left. We have to rebuild. Help us. Very good, Cam. We did it at the same time. Help us rebuild. I need to, put all the Cam's little cages back so I can keep him locked up in his little editing room.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
He's not allowed to see. He got out. He's actually got let out of HQ, and unfortunately, I have to go and round him up before the next episode.
I live in a bomb shelter.
Don't say that about Vancouver, Cam.
I was referring to my editing suite. There's no sunlight. Describe it to me, Scott.
It's not very sweet. It's more sour, I'd say.
Yeah, no kidding.
And if you want to hear us continue the story and the discussion about Rocket Attack USA, we'll be doing it all week on social media at SpyHards. That's SpyHards, wherever you get your social media. But until next time, you'll find me diving head first into the erotic works of the one and only Barry Mahon.